The WNBA might have just made the biggest mistake in its entire history. What's happening to Caitlin Clark right now isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about something much deeper, much darker. And if you think you know the whole story, trust me, you don't. The league that she's single-handedly saved might be destroying her. And the evidence is more shocking than anyone wants to admit. But before we dive into what's really going on behind closed doors, make sure you hit that subscribe button because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see women's basketball forever. June 26th, 2025. That's the date WNBA fans woke up to devastating news. Caitlin Clark, the player who transformed women's basketball from a niche sport into must-watch television, was ruled out with yet another injury, her 6th missed game of the season. But here's what they're not telling you. This isn't just bad luck. This isn't just the physical toll of professional sports. Something much more sinister is happening, and the numbers prove it. When Clark sits out, WNBA ratings don't just drop, they absolutely crater. We're talking about a 55% nosedive in viewership. Let that sink in. More than half of the audience vanishes when she's not on the court. The league that existed for 28 years before she arrived is now completely dependent on a second-year player who's being systematically targeted every single game. And yes, I said targeted because what's happening to Caitlin Clark isn't normal basketball. It's something we've never seen before in professional sports. Think about this for a second. Michael Jordan got beat up by the bad boy Pistons, sure, but he was already 3 years into his career when that started. Steph Curry faced intense physical defense, absolutely. But that was after he'd already won an MVP and changed the game. LeBron James dealt with hard fouls and aggressive play, no doubt. But nobody, and I mean nobody, has ever been hunted like Caitlin Clark from day one. Full court pressure every single possession. Hip checks when the ball isn't even in play. Blindside screens that would make NFL linebackers cringe. This isn't defense. This is something else entirely. The numbers tell a story that should terrify every WNBA executive. Before Clark's latest injury, nationally televised games averaged 1.8 million viewers. After she went down, 850,000. That's not just a dip, that's a catastrophe. The Indiana Fever's games specifically dropped 53%. We're watching the WNBA's golden goose being systematically destroyed, and the league seems powerless or worse, unwilling to stop it. But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember Naomi Osaka, #1 tennis player in the world at 21, beat Serena Williams, had everything going for her. Then the pressure, the hatred, the constant scrutiny broke her. She hasn't been #1 since. Sha'Carri Richardson, the most talented American sprinter in years, crumbled under the weight of expectations and social media harassment. It took her 4 years to finally break through. Simone Biles, the greatest gymnast of all time, had to step away from the Olympics because the mental toll became unbearable. Every single athlete who's faced what Caitlin Clark is facing right now has come out damaged. Some never recovered. And Clark is facing something even worse than they did. Because while those athletes dealt with pressure and expectations, Clark is dealing with actual physical violence disguised as basketball. Let me paint you a picture of what every single game looks like for her. The moment she steps on the court, she's picked up at full court. Not half court like most stars, not three-quarter court like the occasional defensive specialist might do. Full court, 94 feet. Every possession, every game, for 2 straight years. Do you understand what that means? While other superstars like A'ja Wilson and Breanna Stewart get to walk the ball up court, catch their breath, survey the defense, Clark is fighting for her life before the offense even starts. By the 4th quarter, when games are decided, she's already run the equivalent of an extra mile, just fighting through pressure that nobody else in the league faces. It's not strategy anymore. It's deliberate exhaustion. It's systematic destruction. The incident that really exposed what's happening occurred with Chennedy Carter of the Chicago Sky. With the ball nowhere near the play, Carter came from behind and delivered a blindside hip check that sent Clark crashing to the floor. But that wasn't even the worst part. Right before the hit, clear as day for anyone who can read lips, Carter called Clark a particularly nasty word that rhymes with witch. This wasn't basketball. This was assault. And what did the league do? A common foul. That's it. Message received loud and clear. Open season on Caitlin Clark. Charles Barkley saw what was happening and called it out on national television during the NBA playoffs. He didn't mince words. The WNBA players were being petty, jealous, and needed to ease off because Clark was the one bringing in all the money and viewers. The backlash was swift and vicious, but Barkley was just saying what everyone could see with their own eyes. The very players who should be thanking Clark for turning their league from an afterthought into appointment viewing were instead trying to destroy her. But why? Why would professional athletes actively try to hurt the person saving their sport? The answer is as old as humanity itself: jealousy. Pure, toxic, destructive jealousy. Clark came into the league with more fame, more money, and more attention than players who'd been grinding for a decade. She had endorsement deals worth millions before playing a single professional game. She was selling out arenas that used to have entire sections covered with tarps. Every game she played was on national television, while veterans were still playing in empty gyms. And let's address the elephant in the room that everyone tiptoes around. Clark is white in a league that's predominantly black. She's straight in a league with a significant LGBTQ presence. She represents Middle America in a sport that's been largely ignored by that demographic. Her popularity exposed uncomfortable truths about why the WNBA struggled for attention for so long, and instead of embracing the opportunity she brought, some players chose resentment. The league's response has been criminally negligent. In the NFL, if you hit Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes after the whistle, you're getting fined into bankruptcy. The NBA protected its stars so fiercely, they literally changed rules to keep them healthy. But the WNBA? They're watching their meal ticket get brutalized game after game and doing absolutely nothing. No increased fines, no suspensions, no rule changes, nothing. This isn't just about protecting one player. This is about protecting the future of the league. Because here's what WNBA executives apparently don't understand. Without Caitlin Clark, they go back to being a charity case. Those packed arenas? Gone. Those national television deals? Goodbye. Those rising salaries and charter flights players fought for? History. The league existed for nearly 3 decades as a money-losing venture subsidized by the NBA. Clark changed that equation, and they're letting her get destroyed for it. The physical toll is already showing. Multiple injuries in just her second season. A quad strain here, a groin injury there. Her body is breaking down at 23 years old. At this rate, we're not talking about a 15-year career. We're talking about maybe 5 years before her body simply can't take the punishment anymore. The player who should be the face of the league for the next decade might not make it to her mid-20s. And the mental toll might be even worse. Every great athlete who's faced this level of scrutiny in the social media age has buckled. The difference is they could escape it sometimes. When LeBron was getting criticized, he could at least play basketball without someone trying to injure him. When Naomi Osaka faced pressure, she could step between the lines and just play tennis. Clark can't even do that. The harassment follows her onto the court in the form of elbows, hip checks, and flagrant fouls that go unpunished. The latest injury statistics should be a wake-up call. 6 games missed already this season after playing every game as a rookie. That's not normal wear and tear. That's a body being pushed beyond its limits by unprecedented physical abuse. The groin injury that sidelined her most recently, that's exactly the kind of injury you get from constantly fighting through full court pressure, from having to work 10 times harder than everyone else just to get the ball past half court. What makes this even more tragic is that Clark has handled it all with incredible grace. No complaints to the media, no calling out opponents, no demanding special treatment. She just keeps showing up, keeps taking the beating, keeps putting on a show for fans who tune in specifically to watch her play. She's been everything the league could have asked for and more, and her reward is getting brutalized while officials look the other way. The conspiracy theories are already starting. Some fans believe there's an orchestrated effort to drive Clark out of the league. Others think it's unconscious bias from officials who don't want to appear to be giving the white superstar special treatment. The truth is probably somewhere in between, but the result is the same. The WNBA is allowing its biggest star to be physically destroyed, and the consequences are already showing. Look at what happened when she returned from her latest injury. The buzz was immediate. Social media exploded. Ticket prices skyrocketed. The game was trending before tip-off. That's the Caitlin Clark effect, and the league is gambling with it every time they allow another dirty play to go unpunished. They're playing Russian roulette with their own future, and eventually, that chamber won't be empty. The general managers know what's at stake. In the recent GM survey, 50% said Clark is the player they'd build a franchise around, not the reigning MVP, not the established champions, the second-year player who's getting beat to hell every night. They see what everyone except apparently the league office sees. Clark isn't just a good player, She's the transformational figure the WNBA has been waiting for since its inception. But transformational figures need protection. Magic and Bird had the NBA's full support in growing the game. Jordan had rules literally changed to help him succeed. Tiger Woods had the PGA Tour bending over backward to accommodate his star power. Clark has none of that. She's out there on an island, taking beating after beating while the league counts its money and hopes she doesn't break. The irony is that the players who resent Clark the most are the ones who benefit from her the most. Every salary increase, every chartered flight, every packed arena is because of the attention she brings. They're literally trying to destroy their own meal ticket. It would be like NFL players trying to injure Patrick Mahomes because he makes too much money. It's insanity, but it's happening right before our eyes. Some voices in the media have started speaking out. Emmanuel Acho questioned whether the league is pushing Clark too far. The facility dedicated entire segments to her treatment. But for every voice of reason, there are 10 more saying she just needs to toughen up, that this is professional sports, that everyone goes through it. Except everyone doesn't go through it. Not like this. Not from day one. Not with this intensity. The recent All-Star voting tells you everything you need to know about Clark's impact. Leading all players in fan voting despite missing games. Despite the struggle, despite everything, the fans see what's happening. They're voting with their remotes, their wallets, and their ballots. They want to see Caitlin Clark play basketball, not survive a demolition derby. If you want to see something truly depressing, look at the WNBA's marketing. They made a commercial before this season celebrating the physical play and trash talk of the league, essentially advertising that their product is about violence rather than skill. Then they act surprised when that violence gets directed at their biggest star. You can't have it both ways. You can't market yourself as a tough, physical league and then complain when people notice your meal ticket is getting mauled. The solution is simple, but it requires courage the league hasn't shown. Start protecting your stars. Find players for hits after the whistle. Suspend repeat offenders. Call fouls consistently. Make it clear that targeting any player, especially your most marketable one, won't be tolerated. The NBA figured this out decades ago. The NFL learned it the hard way. The WNBA is still stuck in the Stone Age, and their biggest star is paying the price. And let's talk about what nobody wants to discuss: the racial dynamics at play here. Clark's popularity has exposed an uncomfortable truth about American sports consumption. A white, straight, conventionally attractive woman from the Midwest drew more attention than decades of incredible black athletes. That's not Clark's fault, but she's paying for it anyway. The resentment from some players isn't really about her. It's about what she represents, a system that ignored their greatness but can't get enough of hers. But here's the thing. That resentment is killing the golden opportunity. Instead of using Clark's popularity to lift all boats, some players seem determined to sink the ship. Instead of recognizing that her success means their success, they're acting like it's a zero-sum game. Every packed arena for a Clark game means more exposure for everyone. Every national TV appearance grows the sport. Every viral highlight brings new fans who might stick around to discover other great players. The smartest players get it. They're using the spotlight Clark brings to showcase their own games. They're embracing the growth, the attention, the opportunity. But enough players are bitter enough to make every game a war zone. And the league's refusal to step in is borderline criminal negligence. They're watching their biggest asset get destroyed in real time and doing nothing about it. What happens next will determine the future of women's professional basketball. If Clark's body breaks down from the abuse, if she decides the punishment isn't worth it, if she walks away like so many before her who couldn't handle the pressure, the WNBA goes back to irrelevance. Those million-plus viewer games become distant memories. The packed arenas return to their previous half-empty state. The sport that was finally getting its moment retreats back into the shadows. Or the league could wake up. They could realize that protecting their stars isn't favoritism, it's business. They could understand that allowing Clark to play her game, to showcase the skills that made her must-watch TV in college, benefits everyone. They could finally join every other professional sports league in the 21st century and prioritize entertainment over enablement of jealousy-driven violence. The clock is ticking. Every hard foul, every missed call, every game where Clark limps off the court is another step toward disaster. The conspiracy theorists might be wrong about an orchestrated campaign, but the result is the same. Through malice or incompetence, the WNBA is allowing its brightest star to be systematically dimmed. And when that light goes out, the darkness that follows will be entirely of their own making. Caitlin Clark deserves better. The fans deserve better. Hell, even the players who resent her deserve better. Because when she's gone, so is their spotlight. The WNBA has a choice to make. Protect the player who transformed their league from charity case to cultural phenomenon, or watch her get beaten into early retirement while they count their temporary profits. Based on what we've seen so far, I wouldn't bet on them making the right choice. The truth is, what's happening to Caitlin Clark is bigger than basketball. It's about jealousy, race, sexuality, money, and the price of transformational talent in a league that wasn't ready for it. She's carrying the weight of 28 years of WNBA struggles on her shoulders while getting pummeled by the very people she's trying to lift up. It's Shakespeare-level tragedy playing out on hardwood, and we're all watching it happen in real time. If you care about women's basketball, if you care about sports growing and evolving, if you care about simple fairness, you should be outraged. Because what's happening to Caitlin Clark isn't just wrong, it's self-destructive stupidity from a league that can't afford it. They finally found their Magic Johnson, their Tiger Woods, their transformational superstar, and they're letting her get destroyed by players and a system too bitter and short-sighted to see what they're losing. The question now is simple. Will the WNBA wake up in time to save their golden goose? Or will Caitlin Clark become another cautionary tale of what happens when jealousy trumps common sense? Based on the injury reports, the declining games played, and the escalating violence, we might already know the answer. And that should terrify everyone who cares about the future of women's professional basketball. So what do you think? Is the WNBA doing enough to protect Caitlin Clark? Or are they letting jealousy and resentment destroy their biggest star? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see more content exposing what's really happening in professional sports, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because trust me, this story is far from over, and you won't want to miss what happens next.